Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lynn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lynn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lynn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And excitingly, I've got another adult content warning for you on this particular podcast, because we're going to be delving into talking about sex and what turns us on and what turns men on. So just want to give you the heads up straight away and introduce my special guest on this subject, Calandra Balfour. Welcome, Calandra.
Thank you so much, Lynn. That's a lovely introduction. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
You're very welcome. And Calandra is a therapeutic coach and a sex educator. So she's well versed and very knowledgeable in this topic. And I thought what would be a great thing to discuss in today's episode would be, first of all, let's talk about what we think women are attracted to in terms of men, and then we'll go on to talk about what we think men are attracted to in terms of women if we're in opposite sex type relationships. So Calandra, what do you think it is that we as women are attracted to about men?
Oh my God, where do we start? I mean, I think a topic like that can be so broad. The way that people, all of our needs are different. If we lay them out, if we try to box them. And I think everybody is different. They have different drivers. So the things that they find attractive in other people will also be different. But I think a communication and an openness and a willingness are definitely all key aspects of attraction.
Most definitely. And I think when it comes to, when we're talking about what we as women find attractive about men, I think we're not so visual as men, are we? I think we, go more with our feelings and how a man makes us feel more. Obviously looks and physical appearance play a part, but it's not, I don't think, as important for women as it is for men. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I'm not sure I do, actually. I mean, there's been quite a few studies to find that women are actually as visual, but maybe they've been told for so long that they're not visual that they're almost unaware of it, maybe, that there is a visual stimulation going on there and it ends up with them being attracted, and that's when they first acknowledge a feeling of attractiveness. Do you see, does that kind of make sense? I think, as I said, there have been loads and loads of studies of women watching porn. That's often something that's brought up, that the reason that men enjoy porn so much, or are the majority consumers of pornography, is that they are visual and women not so much. But actually, if you put men and women in front of porn, they are equally attracted by the same amount of things. So I think such a broad thing as being visual isn't quite true. I mean, I know that generally with attraction, I mean, I have a background in neuroscience, so that's why all of this stuff really, really fascinates me. Generally we make up our minds of whether we're attracted to somebody within a couple of seconds of meeting somebody. And I think that's often before anyone's opened their mouth. I mean, whether that is all visual cues or hormonal or other senses as well going on, we don't entirely know. It's quite a complex subject.
I have to, on the back of that explanation, I have to agree with what you've just said. I also feel that, what energy we give off can either create or, repel people, can't it?
Oh, definitely. And I think it's that openness really makes a difference, whether we're attracted to somebody or not, whether they are being open and receptive to us. If somebody's giving off an energy of being closed, that they don't want to know, for for most people, that's a sign, right? Leave them alone. Don't bother. Move on to the next one. Unless, I know talking from my own personal experience, when I was a lot younger, some of those signals of being closed was a red flag to most people, but that would have been just an encouragement for my younger self. It was forever pursuing the wrong person. So I think also what we find attractive can vary on where we are in our lives as well.
Most definitely. I was talking about this recently on a video about, whether your heart is open or whether it is closed. And, we're not actually aware sometimes that our heart is closed. And quite often this comes on the back of, being hurt or heartbroken or going through some sort of trauma in our past, and actually not realizing that we're giving off that energy of our heart is closed. I'm keeping you at arm's length and I've got a suit of armor around me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that really filters through into all aspects of our life as well. You might think, I've been hurt, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to, yeah, like you said, I love that analogy of having an armor up around you against somebody, a potential partner. But I think that filters through in relationships and friendships and the people that we meet in our day-to-day lives and interact with. That feeling of go away, I don't want to know, which can, kind of really affect, even like work and career and things like that, and just how easily life happens as well. I have a client of mine who is very much in that protective state at the moment, and they just find that all aspects of their life is just difficult. They just have everything that they do is a kind of conflict, problems with neighbors and friendships not really going the way that they want, as well as the difficulty of finding a partner. And I think it's all related. But you must see that quite a lot with your clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're quite surprised when we dig down and they realize that obviously they're playing a huge part in that, in terms of their energy that they're giving off and the thoughts, and how they have not realized that the heart has been closed.
Yeah, and you can definitely. And I was going to say, sometimes that feels too, like my client, her natural face is quite angry. There's like a frown there all of the time that only stops when she laughs, as opposed to a kind of neutral face.
Yes.
So even things like that are showing in, leaving their mark in her body, in a way that she will now have no control over. But yeah, that awareness.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it, to help people become aware of exactly what they're exuding and the part they're playing in what they're creating currently in their life, in terms of whether they do have that warm energy that's going to attract people, or that cold keep away from me energy that's going to repel.
Yeah. But before we started this podcast, when you sent me a message discussing maybe some of the topics that you wanted to cover, and I was having a little think about what turns me on in my partner and the things which attract me to them. I find thinking about these things to always start really from a personal experience, and then look at it in the wider kind of coaching therapeutic lens, and I was thinking respect is a real massive thing for me. I've got to respect my partner and kind of be a bit in awe of them, really, to be quite inspiring. And then I was thinking on whether I found it attractive that they did the right thing, and sometimes I think that's the opposite. I quite like the fact that my partner doesn't do the right thing sometimes, and kind of has the balls to buck the trend, and maybe
a bit risque.
A bit risque, go down a slightly grittier path sometimes. But I think those things are very aligned into the way that I see myself. But what about you? What do you find attractive in a partner? What do you attract to you?
What attracts me, I think, is a man being very assertive, confidently assertive in in a passionate way, you know, not obviously in an aggressive way, but, you know, if he's very assertive and I see him stick up for me in a situation whereby, you know, I was feeling vulnerable, that's so attractive to me, you know, that is like, wow, that's my man sticking up for me and, you know, showing this other person who might be attacking me that, you know, he isn't going to stand for that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, any time he's very assertive, even assertive in terms of wanting me, you know, in an amorous way, such as if he pulls me towards him in a really assertive way, and you know,
Meow.
against the wall, for example, and snogs my face off. I find that really attractive.
Oh, definitely. That's just super hot, isn't it? That's great.
So any assertiveness around, you know, him showing his masculine assertiveness in a healthy masculine way, you know, as I say, whether it's being protective of me and assertive to others, or whether it's, you know, within our intimate relationship that he's showing that assertiveness and he just goes, here, woman, you know, come here, and pulls me towards him, or, as I say, pushes me against the wall. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, God, you got me thinking now. But also what I find really attractive in my partner is, you know, I'm a very independent woman, very outgoing, and I value my freedom as, you know, the most important thing I have, you know, and an expression that I've always loved is that if you love somebody, set them free.
Yes.
You know, and if anybody tries to keep me or make me do something or smother me, it's the best way to turn me off them forever, you know. And my partner has the confidence to let me take the lead. You know, when we go to a restaurant, I do the ordering, I pick the table, because he knows that things like he'll only end up moving anyway if he chose it. You know, but he doesn't mind in a public situation going, no, she's the boss. She's the boss. You know, we work together as well, and he has got lots of strengths in some areas and I have them in others, because we complement each other. So for him to publicly go, no, she's the one, don't talk to me, she's the one who makes the decisions about all of this, she's the boss, is really sexy as well.
Yeah.
And really sexy, and it means that I will be asserting, you know, my masculine energy as well in the bedroom. You know, I want somebody that I can push back down on the bed and tell them what I want and what I want to do to them, or I want them to do to me equally. You know, so again, it translates into all aspects of our life, you know, sexually and on a relationship level.
Absolutely, like you say, it's having that yin and yang, and as long as there's that polarity of one of you being that passive and the other one being that more dominant person, whether it's in your normal life or sexual life, then you're still creating that polarity regardless of what gender you are, aren't you? And that's what creates the attraction, and that's what creates the passion and the spark and the chemistry.
Yeah, definitely. And it shifts the whole time. You know, and you know, I'm very aware that I need to put some more sex into this podcast. Actually, I've got to live up to the adult warning at the beginning of it. But you know, so obviously I have sex shops as well, Taboo and Last in Brighton, and so I've got the real bird's eye view into everybody's, you know, real intimate lives and what's going on with them. And one of the things that I get the whole time is couples coming in and women wanting to buy a vibrator or bringing an adult toy into their sexual relationship, and the guy feeling threatened by it. You know, what, aren't I good enough? I mean, it's so cliche. You'd think you'd be past it by now. But, you know, what, am I not good enough? Or, oh, I don't want it too big. I'm getting her a present, but I don't want it to be bigger than me. You know, otherwise, you know, what use will I have? And, you know, but it's like you say, having that polarity the whole time. You know, just because you're bringing sex toys and being adventurous and looking at bringing different experiences into your sex life. And, you know, the idea of fantasy and play, you know, it is role play. You know, we can be the dominant one some of the time, but equally we can be the submissive one some of the time. We can have everything done to us and we can be the one doing it. And, you know, we can dip our toe into it and try something. That doesn't mean it's going to be like that the whole time. So I think it's also, you know, it's also really important to remember that just, you know, just because you're trying one thing, and something I do have in my mind particularly is, for example, if somebody's experimenting with anal sex, or if somebody's trying strap-on, couples trying strap-ons, you know, a lot of the time we get couples coming in who are really interested in experimenting with pegging, which is using where's the strap on the guy. And, you know, there is usually some little conversation of, you know, I'm not gay, you know, kind of thinking that by receiving pleasure from their partner, this in some way demasculates them, or doesn't make them a hot-blooded heterosexual male, which is nonsense, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a case of men feeling confident in their own sexuality that can sort of challenge that, can't it? You know, I think if a man is confident in their sexuality, it doesn't matter what you do in the bedroom, you know, and they're willing to experiment. It's not going to make them think they've got any leanings in that direction if they know definitely they're not.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like we were talking at the beginning, and I think that filters through all aspects of life. You know, if somebody is confident in themselves, in their pleasure, they know who they are, and what they like and what they don't like. I mean, for a start, that's really, really sexy. But it will filter through in other aspects of life. You know, if somebody walks into a room and that's the way they feel, everyone else will feel that certainty.
What do you think when it comes to what you've learned, you know, through having your sex shops business? I'm sure you've learned a hell of a lot that you could share with us today. But men find attractive and a big turn on that perhaps are a bit frightened or scared to share with their partner.
Oh, I think generally it's related actually to just sharing what turns them on, not anything in specific, but just voicing what they do and they don't like. And I think that applies to everybody as well. You know, we are traditionally, as far as I can see, terrible communicators. We just find it so hard to sit down with our partners and go, hi, so I'd really like to be spanked, please. Is that all right with you? How do you feel about that? We're terrible about it, you know, I see so many people coming to the shop going, yeah, well, I'm planning on coming here with my partner, but I thought I'd come in and have a little scoot around and work out what I didn't want, so I can kind of, you know, gear them in the right direction, you know, manipulate them into a, you know, really natural conversation, which is really good, but it just highlights the fact that we just find it really difficult to be, you know, say what we want. So yeah, I think that's more of a stumbling block than a guy saying, oh, I really want this, but I don't know how to bring it up. Yeah, I mean, actually saying that, I feel one thing that people always struggle with saying is that they'd like to be more sexually adventurous, maybe with other partners and their partner. So maybe going to sexy parties or a little soft swinging, or maybe trying a threesome or something like that. They just don't know how to bring it up. And that's not so much fear or scared. I think it's more they don't want to hurt their partner because they know it could be taken the wrong way.
I certainly wouldn't be open to that myself, but you know, each to their own.
Context, Lynn, context.
I think I'm more than happy to create enough spontaneity and variety and adventurousness without involving other third parties in my relationships, I have to say.
Oh, well, yeah, Well, I know in some parts of my relationship, because, I think a relationship definitely goes through phases as well. Again, what I was saying, just because you like one thing one day doesn't mean it'll work for you as a couple further down the line. But no, going to parties and sexy parties has definitely been an aspect of my relationship for a lot of the time. I mean, so more the merrier sometimes.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you can fantasize. For me, I can talk about that with my partner and fantasize about, having multiple partners that, as part of sex play between the two of us, but it's not something I'd want to put into actual reality in practice.
Yeah. And actually, you've really hit the nail on the head that with a lot of these encounters that we can go and seek with other people, it's the discussing and the fantasy around it that really brings you closer together. And I think that's an aspect of it that not many people realize. I mean, I was having a discussion with another of my clients who they'd both been seeing some kind of relationship therapist, which I'm not, by the way. I coach people into managing their relationships on one side, so not both people at the same time, but had worked out that they would like to do more playing when it came to their sex life. And so they found a couple of apps, and this has all been during lockdown, and they've got a small child, so they're not able to go out and experience things in real life, and really added an extra spark that that was missing after their child was born. So that works in a really counterintuitive way sometimes.
Yeah, most definitely. I can relate to that. So what do you think is a way, if we are reluctant to open the subject up or talk about what we would like, what do you think is an easy way that we can lead ourselves into that, in terms of opening that dialogue and conversation? Is it to perhaps suggest going to a sex shop, having probably previously researched, the direction they want the partner to go in, or
definitely, definitely. Well, I see that it works day in, day out. I see women coming in, dragging their partners in. I see men coming in, dragging their partners in, of all genders, and I see it work all the time. I see them coming in, they give me a little wink on the way in, and they're like, oh, look what's back here. And it's a room full of sex toys. They know perfectly well back there. Oh, should we go and have a look? And then, the main shop that I work in is on several floors. So I'm like, oh, we've got more clothing and other saucy stuff upstairs. And they're like, oh, should we go and have a look upstairs? Again, they've thoroughly researched the shop. They know exactly what's everywhere. They've been on the website, but they make it spontaneous. And also what's really important, they make it a journey that they're both discovering together. And I think that's a really important part of it, that for a lot of people, knowing that they are doing something sexually that their partner's already done with somebody else can be a bit of a turn off.
Yes.
And that going on a journey together, that actually they haven't done it before, and we are going into this hand in hand and going on this journey together, makes it safer, I think, and less threatening, and just less likely we're jumping into a bed that someone else has already slept in.
I agree with that. It can feel very, very sexy to know that you're the first person you've done something with your partner, and in terms of something that you've just newly discovered that you want to share with them. I think that does bring you very much closer.
Yeah. So we've got, but coming into a sex shop, I think, is a great way of doing that, because there are so many different things, and it's people this whole time will say, oh, what sex toy should I get? What's the best one? Everybody is different. Our bodies, excuse me, our bodies are different shapes. Our bodies have got different nerve endings in different place from one person to another. And we all have a different brain housed inside that body, and different thoughts and behaviors. So we're all completely different, and there really is no one size fits all. And unless we've tried it, we don't know. So literally you can buy one vibrator one day and it won't work, and you can buy another one another day and it'll be great. So unless you've tried everything, there's no way of really knowing yourself. But coming into a sex shop means you can have that dialogue with your partner, but also see yourself. You can really hold a toy and work out whether that size is going to be right for you. Naturally, you'll be more attracted to certain materials. I have women coming in going, oh no, I don't like those hard, bullet shaped plastic vibrators. Whereas another one will come in and go, oh no, I don't like the soft ones. I don't like to be soft and squidgy. I like the harder ones. Some people like the more penis shaped vibrators, and others, couldn't think of anything worse. So it really is different. So it's not even a matter of trying to get your partner to go in a specific direction. It's also working things out for yourself and telling your partner what you like. It's a two-way street, and it's a communication. It's a conversation.
Absolutely. And it's crucial in intimate relationships. So I was quite surprised, actually, you spoke about guys can probably sometimes feel intimidated when it comes to vibrators, because I've not had that experience with my partner. He actually does find it very sexy, even if I'm masturbating.
Yeah.
So, and it's not intimidated at all. It actually turns him on. So what can you do if you're sensing that your man is is giving off the indication that he's threatened by you using sex toys?
Well, I think what I always suggest in those sorts of situations is using a clitoral toy, so just a small, tiny bullet, which is used externally. And, there's also involving your partner in it. Like you say, with you, it's great. And your partner sounds like mine. It would really turn him on watching me using a vibrator and pleasuring myself. But for somebody who's maybe feeling less confident, then involving them in it, giving the toy to them, telling them how to use it, and making them feel like they're really part of it. So maybe using it when they're having sex, using it on the clitoris when their partner's penetrating them, either holding it themselves or, like I said, giving it to their partner to hold, and directing them on how to use it better and giving them positive feedback. So that feels great. Oh my God, yes, that's the spot. Oh my God, it's perfect. Or even less, not really using words, just the right moan at the right time is a great way of signposting to your partner that you're enjoying it and you're enjoying them and you're enjoying the sexual moment, and keep on going.
I like what you said about giving your partner feedback, because they don't know if they're hitting the right spot or not. So if they do get the right spot, giving them that positive affirmation that, just a bit softer, just a bit harder, or don't stop, like you said, to know that they're really doing it properly and getting it right is crucial. So, don't be, I would say, scared about verbalizing, when it's good and what they need to do to make it better or to stay there.
Yeah. And oh my God, they need it. They need it because, why do they need it? Because they're not you.
Yes.
And only you know your body. So unless you're telling them what feels good and what doesn't feel as good, they have got no idea. So the more direction that you give your partner, the better it's going to be for both of you. And we've all been there when our partner's just doing the wrong thing. you're like, get off, I'll do it myself, you're getting it wrong, and it's quite easy sometimes to be frustrated in that way. But just taking a little bit more moment, taking their hand, guiding their hand to the place that you would like to be touched and caressed, taking their hand in, showing them how you'd like to be using it, the speed that they're using it with, the pressure, the position, again, not just taking it from them.
Absolutely. And you know what, men appreciate that. So don't think they don't. Men appreciate that guidance, that help, that support if you're doing it in in a gentle, positive way, because they like to know that they're making you happy and that, you know, you're feeling good, because it brings out the man in them again, doesn't it? You know, it makes them think, yeah, I'm making a moan like that. It's me. You know, they have those thoughts.
Yeah. Definitely. And it works both ways. You know, what is better than having an orgasm yourself, giving your partner an orgasm, you know, and knowing that you can is feels great. You know, I love giving my partner an orgasm, especially one with no return as well. That doesn't happen very often, I'm going to say. But, you know, and that's taken time, you know, and to even say, you know, am I doing that right? Show me how it is. You know, taking their hand and putting it around yours. Show me how to stroke you. You know, masturbation is something that we're all really good at on ourselves, but not always so good at on our partners, especially if it's somebody of the opposite sex, because we're dealing with a whole set of organs that we don't have ourselves. So, you know, being shown how to do it the right way and the way that your partner likes is really sexy.
Absolutely. So, like you say, I'm glad you reinforced, you know, asking him how it feels for him when we're giving him, you know, a hand job or a blow job or whatever, how it is for him, and whether we can improve it and what we need to do different, or, you know, pressure or how they would do it to make it more pleasurable for them.
Yeah. And the added thing that obviously, if you are saying when you're having sex, does this feel good for you? Does this feel good? Put your hand, show me how to stroke your penis. You know, then if you started saying that, then he's more likely to say that to you.
That's a great tip.
We are as, you know, that's just the way that we are as humans. We like to mirror each other. So if you're saying that and he is on the receiving end and knows that feels quite nice, he's more likely to then ask you. But also you said about different ways that we can spark that conversation if we are finding it hard to say what we want to our partners. So we've discussed going into a sex shop, but another thing might be magazines. So even just bringing up do you know what I read? I read about you know, I read about strap-ons. Is that something that you might be interested in? I kind of like the idea of trying it just once, you know, phrasing things like that, or even reading erotic fiction. You know, erotic fiction is normally very themed. So if there's something that you want to experiment with, so for example with spanking, you can find a spanking erotic fiction and go, oh, you know what, let's try something new. Can I read you a sexy story tonight? You know, and that kind of gets the hint across of maybe what you'd like.
I love that. I love to read erotica. That I do find a turn on, is to read, because obviously then you can conjure up in your own head, you know, the visuals for that. Yeah, so much. I really love erotic fiction. It really works for me. Yeah, me too. All right, so on that note, Calandra, we're coming up to the end of the podcast time. So what is your best contact detail that you can share with our audience should they want to get in touch with you?
Just search for me on social media, Calandra Balfour. My adult shops are lust.co.uk and taboo.co.uk. But yeah, find me and get in contact.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That's been a really another great, interesting podcast episode, which can't wait for our audience to get their ears to listen to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll be having you on again. So thank you so much, Calandra, for sharing your insights and wisdom and being so open to talking about, you know, the more taboo subjects when it comes to love, dating and relationships.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Lynn.
You're very welcome. So on that note, I'll just leave us with true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lynn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lynn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lynn@hearts-entwined.com. That's lyn@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.